Hey, welcome back to One Seed, One World. So today I'm outside and I'm gonna do some pruning of my two elderberry bushes that are back here. And I just wanted to show you a little bit about that so you could kind of see what I do and talk a little bit about the elderberry. So this is an American elderberry. There's kind of really two different kinds. There's American elderberry and then there is the European elderberry. The American elderberry is just a different species. It's Sambucus candensis, I think is the way you pronounce it, but I'll put it up here on the screen so that you can read it for yourself. Whereas the European variety is Sambucus nigra. And then there's all kinds of sub-varieties and whatnot as well. And for the American version, they are native to basically the whole area east of the Rockies, and then they also go down into South America as far south as Bolivia is what their native area is. And then of course, elderberry is very talked about for its health benefits for the berries. Now, the stems, roots, and leaves of elderberry plants are poisonous, but the berries are not, with one exception. And this is the black elderberry that I'm talking about. There's a red elderberry and in Europe and a dwarf variety that the berries are poisonous as well. But black elderberries are not poisonous, but this is the exception, is that the elderberries themselves, the berries, do produce I think it's a glycoside that induces or produces a cyanide. And so if you were to eat large variety or large quantities of black elderberries raw, you could have a toxic buildup of this cyanide in your body, which can induce nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and even coma if you ate enough of them. And it's because those glycosides that induce the cyanide are in the seeds of the berries. Now, there's other fruits that have the same thing, like cherries have it in them, but when you are consuming cherries, you don't eat the seeds. But with elderberries, they're so small, you are ingesting the seeds as well. So, to get rid of that, you cook them first. Cooking gets rid of those glycosides that create the cyanide and kills that off. And also, some studies have shown that cooking elderberries increases the health benefits of the different things that is in the berry that make them healthy. Cooking it makes it even more healthy. So, before you eat any elderberries, it's always recommended that you cook them first. All right, so enough of all that scientific stuff. I have two varieties here. I've got an Adams variety and a John's variety. However, I didn't mark mine, so I don't know which one is which because they are so similar. They look the same, they grow the same. The one difference is I think the Adams might have a slightly larger berry, but when I have picked these over the last couple of years, I didn't really notice any difference in the size of the berries. So today we're going to prune these back, and elderberries are very easy to prune. You should prune them really in the winter while all their nutrients and everything is stored in the roots. You don't want to prune them after they've started to flower or produce berries, because then that can damage the plant. There's different ways that you can prune. Really, your first 2 years you don't need to prune at all. That lets the plant get established, and then after that you can start pruning. Some farmers of elderberries or growers of elderberries will mow them down every year or mow down most of them and then let them sprout. They'll just continue to sprout from the root base after that. I'm not doing that. What I'm trying to do here is, I got ones that are way above my head, and when they produce the berries, I can't reach them. So we're going to prune them down low, and then I've got some other larger ones that have kind of popped up, larger canes that have come up, and I just want to trim those back as well, just to kind of get the bush here better formed. And then also, you can propagate these really easily, and I'll show you that as well. And it's just done right off the cane that you're trimming off. So let's get some pruning done. So right here we're at the base of the shrub or bush or whatever you want to call it itself. And you see I've got several canes that have come up here through the ground. I'm going to keep most of these, but I'm going to take this one out just because it's sticking out more. And this is also a good size for me to trim off at the ground level and then use this to propagate the plant. You'll see on the canes here how there's these two nodes or buds that are starting to pop up. And this is where new branches are going to form. So when you are pruning, you'll want to trim them off just above one of these double nodes that pop out. Okay, now you can see that I've got the elderberries down to a more manageable level. I can reach all this. I've already got a few little shoots coming out because we've had some warmer weather here the last few days, so little green buds are coming out. And these will all form new branches that are going to pop off of those nodes that I showed you. And I did the same with the other one here in the back. This one was a little bit of a smaller plant, so I didn't have to trim off as much as that. I didn't have to trim off as much on that particular one. But now they're, much more easier for me to get to and don't kind of fall all over the place. I had actually this last year had to wire them up because they had gotten so top heavy they had started to bend over. And so now they are much more manageable. So let's show you now the propagation method. All right, we've got some rain blowing in and hopefully this wind doesn't pick up too much on my microphone. Now this is one of the larger ones that I cut off and I trimmed back some of the branches just so I could show you a little bit better. But if you want to propagate and grow more elderberry, either grow for yourself or sell some, you'll trim down your branches. And remember the nodes that I showed you, like there's a couple right here. This one's a little bit better where I trimmed it off. You want 2 nodes per section. So when the branches get bigger like this, or these canes I guess they're called, the nodes will probably be spaced about 1.5 feet or so apart. You want 2 sets of nodes per section. And this one I kind of trimmed at the bottom at kind of that's not a very good 45-degree angle. That's more like, I don't know, 20% angle. But anyway, I put an angle on it so I can tell which part is the bottom easier. Plus, when I want to plant it, it'll be easier to stick in the ground if I wanted to direct plant it. And then, so I got the 2 nodes down here, got 2 more up here. Just gonna go a little bit above, like 1 inch or so above the top one, and trim that off right there. Now I've got my stick to propagate. There's 2 different ways that you can do this because remember, this is where your new buds and whatnot are going to form. You can just stick this directly in the ground if you want to and get it down below that first set of nodes. And then it will start forming a new root system from there. Or you can go stick this like in a jar of water so that the bottom nodes are covered. And within, a couple of weeks, they'll start sprouting roots, new leaves, and then, as you're ready to plant them, whether you're waiting on weather or you want them to get more established, more of a root base first, let that grow out a little bit, and then you can go plant in a pot or in a, until you're ready to put it in the ground. There's different ways that you can do it. This is just the way that we do it here. So I'm going to trim up all the branches I think are good size. I'm not going to do like the little tiny ones I trimmed off the top, but I have a lot of good size ones that I should be able to propagate a fair amount of new trees. Okay, so I have a small handful here. I've got, some of these larger ones that are pretty good size, and then I've got some little ones too that I'm going to try out. But even the little one, you see here, already has some little buds forming on it. And then the ones up here at the top. So we'll go put these in some water. I'm not going to start mine directly in the ground. I'm going to put them in some jars of water and let them get themselves going, rooted, and then I will plant them later. And I'll do an update later this season on where they're at. So I've got a nice handful to propagate. I've got an area where I could probably plant 2 or 3, maybe even 4 more. And then the rest, depending on how they do, I might sell them this year as well. And just pot them once they're sprouted, have their leaves. I can just sell them as 1 tree each. So there you have it, pruning American elderberry. A lot of health benefits, just make sure you cook them first. And they're also a beautiful plant, beautiful white flowers, blackberries. The birds love them, pollinators love the flowers. And it's just another good addition to have in your garden for some self-sustainability and something to add to your medicine cabinet if you want to make tinctures or elderberry syrup. Of course, you can always make elderberry jams, pies, all kinds of things as well. So whatever's going on in your neck of the woods, I hope it's going fantastic for you. Spring is almost here. A lot of you have probably started planting indoors, and for you in the south, you probably already have a garden going. But thanks for stopping by and checking out another video. I hope you have a great day. We'll see you again soon. Namaste.